All right, let's dive right into this explainer and deconstruct a reality that B2B builders face literally every single day. We're going to look closely at the foundational architecture, the critical plumbing really, that every serious B2B SaaS eventually has to build. While everyone loves focusing on the shiny front end, today we're strictly examining the back-end realities of scalability, reliability, and maintainability. So if you're a startup CTO or a SaaS founder, seeing these letters and a number pop up in an email probably makes your heart rate spike just a little bit, right? SOC2? It is the terrifying question from your first major enterprise prospect. And usually, it triggers a massive, incredibly painful, and entirely reactive system rebuild after 18 months of development. It's that exact moment you realize passing a serious security audit requires a fundamentally different architecture than what you started with. The standard trajectory usually goes something like this. Most founders spend a solid year and a half shipping these highly differentiated front-end features, desperately trying to find product-market fit. But when they finally land that massive enterprise meeting, they realize they completely forgot to build the actual business infrastructure underneath. You end up with an incredible UI, but absolutely zero foundational mechanics to actually manage enterprise clients safely.
Part 1. Feature-first architecture failures.
The engineering gaps in a naive feature-first approach are pretty glaring when you actually map them out. Without scoped permissions, you can't control who sees what. Without a real event-driven billing lifecycle to handle a grace period, you're just leaving revenue on the table. Without multi-tenant isolation or RBAC, your user's data is fundamentally at risk. When you lack these core components, you don't actually have a B2B SaaS. You just have a really complex prototype.
Part 2. The foundational blueprint.
This tech stack illustrates a calm, highly pragmatic approach to product engineering. On the back end, we're using robust, opinionated tools like Nest.js and Prisma paired with PostgreSQL. For asynchronous operations and health checks, we rely heavily on Redis and BoolMQ. This ensures that background jobs like sending webhooks or handling automated rollbacks have proper retry logic baked in. Ultimately, it's a stack purposefully designed for predictability and zero downtime deployments.
Part 3. Production systems in action.
Now, the crucial takeaway here is that true isolation absolutely must happen at the database query level. You cannot simply trust a tenant ID passed from the front end. Client context is never, ever trusted in a production environment. Every single backend query has to ensure that data access is strictly segregated. This is how you prevent those disastrous cross-tenant data leaks that end up making headlines.
Billing is notoriously brutal to get right, with a massive surface area for edge cases and bugs. But by mapping these 5 distinct state transitions to an event-driven webhook architecture using Paddle v3, we guarantee flawless state management. If a payment goes past due, the system automatically triggers a grace period, and it seamlessly downgrades access only when that specific period expires. It's fully automated, resilient, and webhook-driven, with built-in retry logic.
Handling dynamic entitlements really requires some architectural foresight. Structuring a 4-tier plan engine from day one means you aren't just hard-coding feature flags directly into your components, which is a nightmare to maintain. Instead, features and data retention dynamically scale with the user's plan tier. It creates a beautiful, clean separation of concerns between your core business logic and your pricing strategy.
When you compare standard token auth to a mature production security setup, it reveals exactly why enterprise clients demand such rigorous standards. Honestly, a simple JWT sitting in local storage is just not going to pass a serious corporate security review.
Now, this is what true enterprise-grade security actually looks like. We incorporate Redis-backed real-time session revocation, and we require MFA elevation before a user can perform destructive actions like deleting an entire workspace. We're using correlation IDs and structured logging paired with Sentry for deep observability. That means if an account is compromised, the blast radius is immediately contained and 100% traceable.
20. By focusing strictly on these architectural foundations rather than getting sidetracked by endless UI tweaks, we were able to systematically ship over 20 production-ready modules. These aren't just flimsy prototypes, they are hardened services that actually work under load.
Part 4. The enterprise readiness payoff.
18. This foundational blueprint is so critical because it successfully avoids 12 to 18 months of brutal, reactive engineering debt down the road. Instead of literally halting all your product development for a year just to retrofit security and billing, your engineering team can actually focus on building core business value.
Ultimately, this is the business reality of investing in good architecture early on. It means you can confidently engage in major enterprise sales conversations on day one. You've got a structural pathway to SOC 2 compliance already paved, ensuring high availability and zero downtime. And best of all, there's absolutely zero need to rebuild your core plumbing when you finally land that massive whale of a client.
Building a resilient backend isn't always glamorous, I know, but it is undeniably the defining factor between a weekend side project and a scalable enterprise business. So ask yourself, if your dream enterprise client audited your backend today, would your architecture be an asset or a liability? Built while developing. https://app.saasplatform.app. Follow for the next architecture breakdown.